All right, good afternoon, everybody. Daniel Thomas here. Today is It's the 29th day of October 2021, 12:39 p.m. Last trading day of the month, guys. Last trading day of the week, last trading day of the month. Happy Halloween, everybody, this weekend coming up. This video is not going to be this is how to trade, or this is how I trade. I never do it. This is how to trade. Anytime I do a video, it's not this is how to trade. This is how I trade. This video is actually a more technical video, or it's not really technical either, to be honest with you. I'm going to go over how I set up a single monitor setup with daytrader Pro. That is my preferred trading platform. You know, people see me trading in different brokerage accounts all the time. I actually have three interactive brokers accounts tied into daytrader Pro, like directly tied in, so I can use daytrader Pro, which is effectively this. And then I have other accounts that I trade. I trade in Webull right off to the side. Here, I'll bring over a picture real quick and kind of show you guys what I work with. And then I'll get into constructing a single monitor setup from scratch. I got a question last week from somebody on the channel. I apologize for not remembering who you are. I'll link this video to your question, so I'll figure out who you are then. Appreciate the question, appreciate the support. It's a question that came up a lot on the previous YouTube channel. I have a video somewhere on my hard drive where I've already done this in the past, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but you know, it's been 2 or 3 years, things have changed, and so I figured I'd do another one now. So this is my current setup. You know, I think this is a 25-inch monitor. Both of those are 25-inch monitors. This is a 38-inch widescreen monitor. And so what you're looking at right now, guys, is basically this. So when I record these videos, I have to reduce the resolution of this monitor to 1080 by 1920, which is basically the resolution of a regular monitor like this up here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and construct a single monitor layout for you guys, and then I'm going to save a copy of it, or just post a copy of the current link that I use when I'm on vacation for you guys in the description below. So I'll construct it for you, kind of give a couple tips here and there on what I use, how I set things up. And then if you have questions or comments, guys, don't be afraid to post below, right? Post your comment below. Another thing I used to do on the previous YouTube channel is a Q&A type thing. A lot of my videos, hundreds of videos I have on my hard drive. It's just too much old content, and I figured I'd just kind of redo it all. A lot of stuff videos were derived from questions or comments that I received multiple times. A lot of redundancy, can you explain what you do in pre-market preparation? What books did you read? Where did you learn how to trade, and so on? How do you set up your charts? So those kinds of questions, as they start rolling in again, I'll try to answer them on video. So if you have a question, I don't know that I have the answer, and I'll say, up front, like I always say, I'm just a regular dude like everybody else. I'm no authority on this. I just happen to have been doing it for, a handful of years. And so maybe I have a little bit more experience than somebody who just started, right? And so sometimes the best person to learn from is somebody who knows just a little bit more than you, right? And so anyways, and I can get into all that in different videos about my experience and stuff. So I'm going to construct the single monitor layout for you guys. Don't be afraid to comment below, because I am going to, and that's where I was going with that, I'm going to do some Q&A videos, on either a weekly or a bi-weekly type basis, where I basically just go down my notifications and answer some of the more redundant or ubiquitous questions that show up on the feed. So this is what I'm working with. Just in case you're wondering, this is my futures, tickers up there. This is my P&Ls. This is closed P&Ls. This is actually my account tab, and I'll show you guys that in a second. Options chain here, some watch list that I have going on. This is actually the indices. This is a watch list. I think that's the S&P 500 right now. This is a Webull account, I think. No, this is TradeOvate, so this is a futures account here. Behind that is a TD Ameritrade account, and behind that is a Webull account. So I'll just kind of click through the tabs. So this is kind of like when you guys see me looking up at the screen, that's what I'm looking at. This is just a SPY chart here. This is really how I go. So this over here is scanners. I'll get to that in a second. So this over here is scanners. This is kind of how I scan on the day. This is all basically, with the exception of that, and I'll show you guys this in a second, this is trade ideas scanning software, right? It's how I find momentum plays, I find pre-market gaps and stuff. But you don't need to subscribe to Trade Ideas to get this information. I've shown you guys in the past ways you can get it for free, right? Now, maybe I'll even talk about it in this video if I have time. Everything else is basically Dash Trader Pro, right? This is all Dash Trader Pro. To include this, basically everything up here is Dash Trader Pro as well. What I do is, this is what we're looking at right now, is what you guys can see, is I set, these charts over here, they're all 1 minute charts. I set the hottest tickers, or the ones that I'm interested in, over here, and then when I want to trade it, I just go in and I say I want to trade this chart. I double click on the chart, it throws it in this box. This box populates all of these charts with the information, and then I can hit a hotkey to get in and out. So I can literally go from, in literally like less than 2 seconds, I can see something right there, click on it, and be in the trade in a matter of, a couple seconds with where I have everything set up. I'll also include a link to my hotkeys below. I don't know if I'll have time in this video to go over hotkeys or not. Maybe I'll do like a real quick superficial thing, but when I bring down my hotkey file, you can, just basically see what I do. If you have questions on that and how I kind of developed what I have and what I use, by all means, let me know. The last thing I'll say about all of this is my basic setup is a laptop. Or not this is my setup. Sometimes I'll have a supplemental screen over here on the side. I used to have a little MacBook that I would do research on, but I don't do research anymore, guys. I've found over the years that news and rumor leads to bias. So really, I'd say 99% of my trading is exclusively charts. I don't even look for catalysts anymore. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I wish I would have. Like last week, there was a couple of stocks moving for the same reason, and had I known what the reason was, I probably would have stayed in them a little bit longer. So sometimes the catalyst is good, but in my experience, guys, a catalyst often leads to bias, and bias is never a good thing when you're trying to be a day trader. So this is what I was going to say. So I also have a laptop that I use when I'm on the road, when I'm on vacation, and I'll take a couple side USB monitors with it. And so, basically this is my main hub, and this is what I'm going to construct for you guys right now on video. I'm going to construct this, and I'll show you how you can expand the Dash Trader platform to supplemental or screens here in just a second. And so I'm going to construct this, but this is basically my travel setup. I have just 2 USB powered monitors on the side. I trade off a laptop in the middle, and that's kind of how I do things. So anyway, so I'm going to move that off the screen now. I'm going to get rid of everything that's not Dash Trader Pro. So let's just go ahead and close down all the scanners. Everything that disappears is not Dash Trader Pro, right? That's not Dash Trader Pro. I'm going to make me smaller because I don't need to be this big. Actually, I think if I go really, really small, it'd probably be the best because then I'm not in the way. I've already got my screen kind of cut off. Let me move this up so I can figure out where the bottom of my screen is, right there. And then I'm going to bring down my the main hub, guys. So I can really, at this point, I can really just kind of go in and close everything, right? And I'll do that now. I'll just go in and close everything. Just so you know, when you click on the border of a chart, and when you right click on it, it gives you these options, right? And if you have a title bar up there, you can see, it's easier to grab and stuff. But because space is at a premium when it comes to, a single monitor layout, I get rid of everything like title bars, for example, right? So I click on no title bar. And the way I did that is I just right click the chart, no title bar, commit, and it, it's gone. So anyways, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of my time and sales window over here. Actually, I think I'm going to just move that to the side because I don't want to reconstruct it for you guys. I'll show you guys what's in it. I'll move this out of the way so it's not distracting when I'm kind of building this new layout for you guys. And as I'm doing this, let me just say this as well, guys. All I'm doing now is I'm positioning charts below at the border of the screen so I know where the border of the screen is because I'm not really using a single screen. I'm just using a portion of my bigger screen. I want to give a shout out to Andrew over at Bear Bull Traders. Andrew is a phenomenal trader, guys. He started off, I don't know when he started, but he was I'm not going to tell you a story. I'll let him tell his own story. He effectively decided that, kind of like me, that day trading for a living was the only way for him to control his professional future. And before I was a day trader, 7 years ago or so, I guess I was kind of like a swing trader. I like a lot of people. I went in and I'd go and just buy 52-week lows or whatever. And I stumbled onto Andrew's book, How to Day Trade for a Living is the name of the book. I ended up joining his chat room, and I think we'll be lifelong friends. I do not have an affiliate with him. If you tell him that I sent you, he'll give you a discount for a couple weeks or whatever, maybe even a discount overall for like a long-term membership. Just because I think I'm one of his first, quote, success stories. I say his. Me and Andrew trade really different styles. So I really do my own thing, and he'll tell you that if you ever talk to him. But I do want to give deference to Andrew. A lot of my setup, my foundation as a trader, especially the way I set up my charts and stuff like that, a lot of it kind of came from him. It was derived from how he set his stuff up. And then I took what he gave me, the fundamentals, right, the foundation, and I made it my own. I made it my own personality. I took, the trading and I started doing my own thing. And I would argue that when you find success in this game, people, that's what's going to happen. You're going to realize that somebody like me, I can provide a foundation for you. I'll just move this over here. I can provide a foundation for you, but at the end of the day, when you finally turn that corner and start putting in consistently profitable days, you're going to realize that even though you learned from Daniel Thomas, or you went over to Bear Bull or something, or Ross Cameron or whoever, Tim Sykes, at the end of the day, your success is going to come from you, not from me, not from anybody else. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. I wanted to give deference to Andrew because without him, I probably wouldn't even be using Dash Trader Pro right now. So anyway, so this here, if you trade with DAS, you're probably familiar with this. This is basically the main hub in here. There are a couple things you can do. I wanted to do something real quick. This back here is, I have multiple accounts attached to DAS. So I'm going to cover that up because I don't want you guys to see my account numbers and balances and all that stuff. But this is the way I have it set up. I have my account tab there, and I'll show you how to get to this in just a second. The type of account, this says margin. If I were to expand that out, you'd see that. And then realized gains, unrealized gains, the amount of money that's in the account, the amount of buying power that DAS assumes I have based on the broker, overnight buying power, the number of trades I've taken today, so the number of actual tickets you pay on a per ticket basis or trade, right? And then the number of shares. That's how I set up my account tab. So now that I'm done talking about that, I'm going to move this over the top of that. My account tab is usually the top thing in here, right? So my account tab's there, and then the positions is usually, we'll just color code it maybe a different color. Positions is usually here, right? And then orders is the next thing you can see. For the sake of this video, I did not get rid of the title bar. Orders is usually down here somewhere. And then honestly, when I'm trading for you guys, trades and position manager, those are not even in this box, but when I'm trading on a single monitor, they are. So when I'm trading on a single monitor, I'll have, trades as, basically where they're at, and then the position box down here. And so if I bring this up, you'll see that you guys are familiar with seeing this here, right? This is I'm down $500. This is the P&L. I just saw that I was down $500 in this account. This is a real account. I went and I zeroed out my accounts, and so it's actually a really small balance here in this particular account. You guys have seen me trading this recently. I think I've had multiple $10,000 days in this account. But when I lost $120,000 2 Fridays ago, I decided I needed to kind of, when you have a lot of money in the account, you take bigger chances. And so one of the things I've learned to do over the years is not have a big account when I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened when, I lose a lot of money. So anyways, you guys have seen this box. You can configure any of these boxes. I'll just say this now, right? So you can configure any of these boxes by just right-clicking, right? I'm going to go no title bar, right? Because I'll leave the title bar there for you guys. But you can configure them by just going into any space within the box, hit configure, right? And then you can just type in, or excuse me, you can take from the left side, right, from the left side, and you can throw it over to the right side by clicking that little arrow what you want in there, and you can adjust the color and all kinds of stuff, right? And you can see for me, this is what I like to look at, guys. I like to look at my account, right? I actually only keep this here for you guys. I keep the account tab there so you guys can see it's real money, right? If it was a simulator, it would be TR, And in the past, when you guys have seen me trade in simulator, you've seen that, right? You've seen TR right there. And then shares, how many shares do I currently have? This is an options contract, so it says 12. I have 12 options contracts. That's what I paid on average. Here's what I've made or lost, right? And then here's what's still on deck. So that's that tab. And these are really the hub for everything. So they're, to a degree, probably the most important tabs, and as we construct, you'll see that. Here's the order tab. If I were to go in and put an order in on something, I don't know what happened to my montage. I think I deleted it, I guess. You'd see an order pop in here. I just like to have the symbol, the quantity that I'm wanting to buy or sell, whether or not it's still open, right? The price, the route, the type of order. Is it a stop order? Is it a market order? It wouldn't show if it was a market order, but is it a limit order? Is it a bracket order? What kind is it? And then I want to make sure that it's in the right account, right? And then, of course, basically the same thing here. The only difference between these two things, this box, position manager, and this box, which is positions, and I'll show you guys how to get there in just a second as we kind of start rolling this out. It's going to get faster and faster, I think, is this position manager shows all of your profits and losses on the day. So you can see I'm still in that contract, which is showing there. But since I've closed these out, right, they're not showing up in here. So honestly, depending on whether or not you want to see where you've been or where you're going, this is where you're going, this is where you've been, right? Really, at the end of the day. How do you get there? So when you open up your single layer or your single monitor layout with DAS, again, I think this is up here with them, right? It's up here, and you got charts and stuff, and you can configure it all. But you just go into where is it? It's in. I just did this. It's not hard to find. Right here. So accounts will give you that account tab that I talked about up top, right? So accounts will give you that box that's currently being hidden, right? And then positions is this box here, this one that I'm hovering over. And then if you see this, there's a little arrow there, and if you hold over it, it does this, right? And it gives you other options. Well, positions with closed positions is this one down here. So this one is positions, obviously, and this one is the one that says position manager is positions with closed positions. And in that same menu, right, that same menu, you can click orders, trades, which is this box, and then again, the box underneath it, that's trades. And there are other things you can put in there, trade log, event log, and so on. Okay, so when I'm doing a single monitor layout, guys, what I like to do is I like to have this over here. Now, I want to make a point real quick. You can see that this box is small. The way yours probably looks is more like this, right? When you first open it up, you probably look something like this, right? To where you have this big canvas, and when you go in and you say you want a chart, for example, it pops into this canvas, right? It pops in, but as you can see, if the edge of the canvas was there, the chart doesn't go outside the edge of the canvas, right? If you pop it out, though, if you pop the chart out, it will go outside the canvas. And so this is how I move charts to other screens. Now, you could just expand your canvas to other screens. You can't see me doing this right now because you can't see over there. But trust me, I'm going to drag the edge of this to another monitor, right? So now it's on the right side of the monitor, or I can take the top of this and I can drag it up to the upper monitor above, right? So this is how a lot of people will expand their canvas when you have multiple screens. You just take one of the corners, guys, right? Just take one of the corners of the sides and just expand it up or down, right? Or just take the entire corner and expand it, if I can get the corner. I'll give it one more try, diagonally, right? So that's how you can expand your canvas. Now, for me, because space comes at a premium, I keep this minimized like this, and then when I want a chart, I'll pop a chart out, right? I'll pop a chart out, and the reason I do this is, you'll see here in just a second, let's say that's where I want my chart, right? So I'm going to go all the way up to the top of the screen. So let's say I want my chart. You can see that it says minute there, or what have you. If I expand this over, right, you can see that it's going to cut off, right, just because there's this much of the canvas being used for this menu bar up here, it's going to cut off that much of my chart, right? That much of my chart, which means that if I wanted this chart in here, and I'll do it here, I'll put a chart in there for you guys. If I wanted a chart in here with the same bottom and top, so there's the same bottom, right? I can't go higher, right? So you can see that this chart on the right, I have an extra inch of space there, whereas here I'm just wasting space with this bar up top. And so that's why I do what I do. That's why I pop everything out, as you've seen me do. Right? That's why when I do this, I minimize this down, okay, and then I pop everything out. All right, guys. So now one other thing is, when you come in here to setup, tools, you can have a trade bar, which is this bar up top, right? Which is, in my opinion, is unnecessary, right? So again, if this is your window in here, you can have this trade bar. I got a cramp in my hand from the mouse. You can have this trade bar right here, and then you can also have a tools bar, right? But all this stuff, all these little visual icons are available within these drop down menus. So again, for the same reason I just talked about, I don't want that there. So I'll go into tools and I'll hide those, right? Tools, and I'll hide them. Now status bar, this one here, it would pop. I do leave it open, and the reason I leave it open is because at the right side it shows what, whether or not your system is on and actually has information flowing. The reason I don't show it to you guys is because my account number is down there, right? And you'll see that if you do that. So for me, it's all about space saving. So I get rid of those, or I detoggle them. And I do this. So now let's go into actually configuring the layout, right? So this is over here. Frankly, when I'm trading, guys, I actually, when I'm on the road, this is all scrunched up even more, right? I don't trade that all. I don't trade like 50 tickers. I'm really only in 2 or 3 positions at a time. So frankly, it's more like that. And actually, this box here, this box right here, is that, right? So this is exactly how I set it up on the road. And then if I want to see where I've been, I just kind of pull that up, right? How much did I make on that ticker? And I'll bring it back down. All right, so there's that. All right, now let's start with the most important thing. You're going to need a montage, right? A montage is a level 2 montage. It's called total views, the actual product. So I popped it out, right? So I'll do that again. You just go into quotes and you go, trade. You go to click montage. Right click the bar and click pop out, right? So you pop it out. Now you guys have seen the way I set these up. I'll have this montage set up about right there. You can configure the montage any way you want. Just right click in any of this open gray space or whatever space, if it's white for you, whatever color you prefer. Right click in there and you can click on order template, and you can click your exchange, the number of default shares you have. My default right now is currently set at 500. You can click on that. Time in force, it would be any or all, route, and so on. And if you need help with any of this stuff, just let me know. But again, the way you did that, or the way I did that, is you right click in here. Now maybe I'll get into some of the details of what all this is, but there's different styles, right? You can go into the default style, which looks like that. You can go into a basic style that looks like that. One of the things you'll notice with the basic style is you're not wasting as much space. So here's the top of the basic style, whereas if I go into the one I use on my normal screen, now I'm wasting more space, right? So when I'm on the road, you'll see I'm using basic style instead of stop order. The reason I like stop order is because it's just easier to enter a stop. You can come in here, click on this toggle down menu. It won't do it right now because I don't have a ticker in there. If we put SPY in there, for example, I can come in here, and if I had actually, it would have done it. I just click on stop, and then you click your stop type. Now, real quick, just because it's important, your stop type, if it's a stop, it can't be limit, guys. It has to be market. Either market, trailing range, or range market, but it can't be limit. I don't even know why they leave the option for limit there. But stop type, that's why I do it, because sometimes I use stops, right? And everything else is self-explanatory. If you do have a position and you click on this P, it will populate your position in there. So if I were to click on this, right, and then click position, you can see, why is it showing? There we go. Now it's showing 12, and you can see I have 12 contracts on that, right? So, but just by clicking that P right there, guys, just by clicking that P, and I'll explain a couple other little intricacies within this level 2 montage. I like to configure this, so I'll just configure it now because it's not configured. I closed down the one that was configured. If you right click basically anywhere, guys, you can configure. So I'm going to come in here to level 2 configuration, and then the first thing I like to do is make sure, see how this is 3 decimals? I don't like 3 decimals, I like 2 decimals. So I'm going to go 2 decimals and commit. Now you can see we have 2 decimals. Another thing I like to do is level 2 configuration. You can see in here, so actually it's not in here, it's actually in time cells, and I'll show you guys that in a second. So that's about all the configuration I do in there. Because my screen is so high in resolution, I also decrease the font. So usually I'll come in here to font and decrease the font to something else, like 8 or something. But anyway, so there's that. I don't know that there's anything else I do in particular to level 2. I can look in here real quick. Yeah, there's nothing else I do in there other than have defaults. Now, if you just want, instead of having to set your default every time on your level 2, you can come into setup and you can go into order templates, and this is just an overall global default. So every time you pop out a level 2, it will come in here. So you can either default your individual level 2, or some people trade with multiple of these, right? I used to do this. I used to have a bunch of these set up like this, and then because you can, I'll show you guys this in a second. You can trade, maybe you put, multiple charts underneath, right? Maybe this one here is for this, right? So I'll just show you guys this now since we're here. Let's say that I got AMD in the box there, and I want this chart to be AMD. Well, I can either type AMD over the chart, right? And usually if there's a title bar there, you can see that. So I can just click the chart one time and type in what you want. Facebook, right? Zillow, right? Roku, AMD, SPY, Occidental, right? And so on. Or if you want them tied together, and maybe this would make more sense if I put maybe 2 here, and maybe let's just make this a 5-minute chart. That's a 1-minute chart, right? So here's a 5-minute chart, and here's a 1-minute chart, and I want this, when I click say sprint, I want the charts to show sprint, right? But they're not doing it. So what you do is you take this little anchor here, and anything that is affected by a chart, you can attach to. By an order entry box, you can attach to this montage. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take this anchor, I'm going to left click on it and drag it over this chart. And you can see now it shows the same thing that's showing up here. And I'll drag it over to this chart as well. And heck, why not? We'll drag it over to that chart over there too. And so maybe you have a 5, a 1, and let's say a 15-minute chart here. And I'll show you guys how I did that. I used the hotkey to change the chart. But if I come in here, I change this now to say Tesla. Now all the charts are going to show Tesla. And that's really what how I kind of have it all set up, right? So close, and we'll close this out. So I used to have, I must have MDI child that. I used to have charts on like 5 or 6 of these level 2s, and I would go through and I would have a whole bunch of stuff going on. But I realized if you go back to the image that I showed you guys, I realized for me it's just easier to have, what I'm looking at over here, right? And then if I want, say, that chart, I can just throw it into there, and then immediately it populates all of this with it, right? So I've learned that for me, my personality is I just like to look at 1-minute charts to begin with, and then the day chart, the 60-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, and so on. This chart I toggle. This is the one. If I want to see the 15-minute chart on this, I'll just double-click it and it goes into here. So I'll show you guys how the double-click feature works, because it's very important based on the way I trade, and I'll address it later on again as I kind of construct this. So when you right-click on a chart, you can configure, right? And if you click configure, there's an option in here under configure where it says double-click to trade. If I double-click on a chart somewhere that is, oh, why is that up there? I got some glitching going on, guys. I hope the video doesn't crash. So say that METX. So let's just say that this is my main setup here. Okay, this here, and here's my montage, right? And then we'll even bring over time cells. So all of this is now connected because I dragged the anchor to everything, right? So let's say that this chart, this METX chart, is over to the side, right? Over to the side on over there where you guys can't see. If I want METX to populate in here, right, and maybe maybe the day chart pop up too. So let's just do this. Let's make a day chart here as well. So I'll do that. And so if I want METX to populate, and this is going to be important for the single screen monitor. And I'll show you guys why in a second. So if I want METX to populate, because I have that double click to trade feature set, double click to trade right here, when I double click on METX, it will pop it in there, right? It'll pop it in there. Now, if I have multiple montages, whatever montage the chart is set to, it would, when you double click it, it gives you instant access to your montage. So I don't know if you caught that or not, but what happened here is if you look at this border up here on this montage, it's not activated right now. So if I pushed a hotkey, nothing would happen. But when I double click on the chart, it turns dark, right? It turns dark, and that means now if I hit a hotkey, the hotkey is going to affect, this order entry window. All right, so now I'm way in the weeds on stuff. Let's just go all the way back to the beginning and actually construct this thing. I think I threw a few things out at you guys there. So I like to have my 1 minute chart as the biggest chart. So just as a real quick refresher on this, you go into quotes, go into chart. Now you're going to have to set up your charts, right? I think I can send you a file on how to, on my default charts. But if not, then I'll just click in here and you can see what indicators I use. But this is what I do. I make the 1 minute chart real big, something like that on a single monitor, maybe a little bit smaller than that, something like that. And then I bring over time and sales. Now, time and sales, same thing. Quote, you can go time and sales, and it will, pop time and sales out. And then once you go through and right click and configure, right, you can get this configuration down to effectively what I have here, right? So again, quotes, time sell, or you can go ECN time sell if you want, but I use time sell. Okay, and this is what you get, right? This is what you get. This is how it's configured to begin with, right, by default. But the way I configure it is like this. Really, my configuration on time sales is just green if it's at the ask or above, red if it's at the bid or below. So I kind of know where things are selling. Are they selling at the bid or the ask? And then if it's inside, it's white. And then here I have all the shares showing in per hundreds. So that's a big order there. These ones in here is not one share; it's 100 shares. That 14 there is not 14 shares; it's 1,400 shares. That 50 is 5,000. It's not 5; it's 5,000, and so on. So because I don't want to reconstruct that and waste time, I put this here. If I can do this, I put this here at the very edge of my screen. On a single monitor layout, I actually have it up like this, right? Because I want more chart than I want time sales. I bump that over there, right? Pretty much like that. And then I don't really need this stuff in here, right? All I need is this S, or sometimes they'll say SSR. If something's on short sale restriction, they'll say SSR. Here's an example here that's on SSR. And just because it's on short sale restriction doesn't mean you can't short it. There's a good example there. So FTDR is on short sale restriction, but if you click on this S here, right, your broker will pop out this thing that says how many shares are available for short. You can short tickers on short sale restriction. You just have to short them on an uptick, not a downtick. And so all I need to see is that S, right? So what I do is I whether or not there's an S there, I bring that over all the way because I want to maximize my space in here. Right, so this is how I set up my single monitor layout. I also don't need all this stuff in time sales, right? I don't need the time. If I want to see the time, I just pull it out and look at the time. And honestly, I don't even need to see the entire ECN there, or the exchange, excuse me. So I'll usually just do this, because I know if it starts with an F, it's dark pool. If it starts with an E or an A, it's probably EdgeX or ARCA and so on. And so I'm maximizing space here, right? I'm maximizing space. So I'll bump that to where I can see the S, and then we're good to go. Now what I do is I'll go in and I'll put two more charts in, right? So first of all, I'll make this a minute chart, and I'll attach with the anchor the minute chart to what's in the screen there. And I'll do the same thing over here on time sales. So now everything is the same. If I go to AMD, everything's going to be AMD. If I go to Sprint, everything's going to be Sprint. If I go to the SPY, everything's going to be the SPY. Now I'm going to go into quotes, and I'm just going to make another chart, right? It goes in here, but I can't move it outside those borders. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to click pop out, and I'm going to bring that right there. And this is where things get interesting, right? So I do that, and I actually make this a 5-minute chart, right? So we're going to make that SPY. Actually, I make this one a day chart. I make this one a day chart when I'm trading on the road, and I'll show you guys why in just a second. And this chart, honestly, is probably a little bit bigger, probably something like that. So let's go ahead and adjust these. Let's adjust these. And you can make whatever adjustments you want based on the way you like to trade. And so what I do with this is I don't really need to see, because again space is at a premium, I don't need to see what month we're in, and honestly I don't really need to see the volume. If I really want to see this stuff in intricate detail, I can just toggle this chart down here with a hotkey, and now it's a day chart, right? So this was a minute chart, now it's, now it's a minute, now it's a 5, now it's a 15, a 30, right? So this is always a minute chart, but if I want to see stuff in detail, I'll toggle it down there. So what I do is I take this and I lower it to right about there, because all I really care about when I'm looking at this day chart is today's candle relative to some of the other candles around it. Again, if I want to see the action, I can scroll in and out, but I really just want to see where we're at on today's candle relative to the most adjacent price action. Then I go in here and I put another chart, quote chart. I put a 5-minute chart next to that, because the 1 and the 5-minute time frames are the most important to me on an intraday basis. And again, if I need to see more, I can, right? I can just toggle any of these charts. So there's my 5-minute chart, right? And so as you can see, I'll bump this over. I don't need to see all of that, right? So that's effectively how I have it. It's just kind of overlaying over the top of each other, and that gives me access to all of this space over here to do other things with, when I'm on the road. So I can see the candle. If I click on it, I can see it clear, right? I can see, if I just set it up like that, I can see the 5-minute chart. And again, if I want to see the day chart that bad, or the 15-minute chart, I can just toggle this chart and do it. So this is kind of the foundation here. This is basically how I set these up. I've done a video in the past on why I set them up like this, why I keep the charts so close to each other. I've tried putting charts horizontally like this with time cells here, but I found that, time cells is here, or over here, I guess. Here's your level 2. You got to look that way, and then you got to look even further, and you got to look even further for charts. And for me, it was a lot of left and right, and it's fatigue, it becomes fatigue. Whereas when I set it up like this, I can see everything I want to see right there. So, everything I want to see is basically there. If I want to see a little bit more on a minute chart or the 5-minute chart, I can do that. But if the charts are like this, right, then I'm forced, if I want to see on the 5-minute chart, I'm forced to look way over there on my screen, right? And so when you're trading actively, a lot of times it's to me, it's healthier to just keep everything kind of compact. That's why I do that, guys. So now I have this extra space in here, and what I'll often do is, honestly, this is probably even scrunched down a little bit more when I'm trading on the road. And then I'll go in and I'll put in some charts like this, right? I'll put in some charts like this, right? I'll put in a couple charts like this, about that size. I'll do it again. I'll put in another chart, and usually I'll overlay them over the top so I can maximize space. So I kind of do that, right? So we'll just kind of start putting a couple tickers in here. We'll put X right there. Let's put DWAC right here, because that's been moving around. Something like, I guess, about like that. So maybe this is even scrunched up a little bit more, and you can play with it and figure out what's comfortable for you. And then we'll do another chart. I usually have 3 or 4 of these, right? And so again, I don't really need to see the volume per se. I just need to see the price action, because if I want to see the volume, I can click on the chart, right? I can click on the chart. So I kind of do that kind of a thing. Now, some people may say, we'll put Facebook there. Some people may say, I don't want to do that, because when I click on these upper charts, now I have to click all the way down to reset them. And that's fine, right? Then you just do something like this, right? You kind of go down and maybe just have 3 things you're looking at, right? So that's what I do. And so maybe I'm looking at METX today, right? So we'll put METX here, because I was looking at it today. METX, and if I can METX, and let's say this is my main setup over here, but I see something. Let's say DWAC is moving, and I want DWAC. Maybe I want to trade it. Maybe I want to see a bigger picture. I double click the chart, and boom, it's now in here, and I can trade it. It's populated in my order box, and so on. So I like doing this, because this is effectively a visual watch list for me. It's effectively a visual watch list. Now, about my actual watch list. So if you go into tools and you come down, so that was all under quotes, right? So your trade montage, your accounts position, all that stuff, we've already gone over everything there. Quotes, you got your time and sell. The top list, I'll address that in just a second. Now we're going over to setup. We've kind of already talked about that. templates and things of that nature, and some more customization type stuff. If you go all the way over to, well, I always have a clock. So under Tools, Market Clock, I always have a clock, guys. I always have a clock. And you guys see that I set that thing up. I customize it, you know, depending on what my mood is. I usually keep it on my 5-minute chart about right there. Sometimes I'll bring it over here and hide my account number, but I've made my account number asterisk today. So, you know, sometimes I'll put it there and just kind of hide my account number with it when I'm trading on video. But anyway, so I always have a clock. Tools. So, what was I going to, so it was under Market Viewer. So under Quotes, you go to Market Viewer, you have all these different options in here, right? All these different options. I like to have these. It pops this box out here. This is actually not the template, right? This is the template is more like this, right? The template is more, if I just click on one that I'm not using right now, let's go to like 18. This is what the template looks like, right? So if I right click in here and go to Configure, you can see that this is the stuff that they want you to see, right? This is the stuff that they want you to see in here. Now, if you want something else, right, you just come over here and you throw it over there. And if you want to get rid of something in here, you throw it over there, right? It's just left and right. So instead of constructing an entire thing, this is how mine is set up, but I don't even need to see all of that, right? All I need to see is that, right? Because I'm such an active trader, I just want to know if it's up or down on the day, right? So I'll have this in here somewhere. Usually I'll just have, I'm going to have to move me somewhere. Usually I'll have in here, I'll just have you know, a few tickers, maybe 5 or 6 things that I'm watching, right? So these 3 charts are always going to be on my watch list, but then maybe down the list there's other stuff that's not on the charts. So if I want to see something, right, say I want to see you know, and this is important. I'll show you guys. If I want to see JP Morgan Chase, I just click on JPM and it populates it in here. But in order for me to do that, you guys already know where I'm going with this. I had to drag this anchor to that box, right? Because if I didn't do that and I double clicked on that, it wouldn't populate in there, right? So again, this anchor, if you want it to affect anything that you click on that you want to pop in here, right, you got to use the anchor, and then that anchor can tie anything else you want to it, right? Any of these charts or anything. So you take the anchor, you left click on it, you drag the anchor to your market viewer, and you let go. So this is my watch list in here, right? So again, you can expand this out and have more information if you want. Maybe you care about volume, but you can see volume, and as you get better or more, you know, accustomed to trading every day, you'll realize that there's a lot of redundancy. I have volume right there. So if I want to know what the volume on Facebook is, I can click on Facebook and immediately see it's traded 24 million shares today. All right. So, and then up in here, I didn't mention this, but this is basically level 1. This is level 2 down here. Your order box. I showed you how to do that, but you can actually customize this in DAS as well. This shows your exchange, and you know, I can get into some of this stuff if you guys want. They also have this really cool feature here. You see that question mark there? If you click on that question mark and you don't know what something is, you can drag the question mark over and it would tell you. You just left click and it tells you what it is. Now, if you can't figure any of that out, you can always go into help, right? And they actually have a user guide. Right, so all I did is click on user guide and it pops this window up on the internet. So if you're attached to the internet, this box here, right, going to help, if you click on user guide, this pops up. And just like any other thing in Windows or what have you, you can go in and you can either, you know, Control F and search. Look, if you want to search, you know, level 2. Level 2, you know, is there level 2 anywhere? And it went to page 9 out of 52 and shows us level 2. If you want to populate montage, right? If you want to know where montage is, there's 105 times montage is listed in this document, right? So you can search for that. So that pops up if you hit help right there, okay? So now we're almost all the way constructed. I leave this space open because I have scanners, right? So I have Trade Ideas scanners that I pay for. And what I'll do, you can see a lot of it is populating in right now because I just moved it over. But I'll take these momentum scanners in here, right? This one, for example, and I'll place it right there. Or some of my gap lists I'll put over there on the left. If I'm not using a supplemental screen. If I'm using a supplemental screen, then all of this scanner stuff that just popped in actually just goes to the left on the next screen over, right? So now I'm going to close the scanners back out because you don't care about that. The last thing I want to highlight is this thing. It's called a top list, right? So if I just close that out and I go into setup, tools, and I go down to, okay, where is it at? Top list, Windows maybe? Quotes. So it's under quotes. Go to top list. DAS Trader Pro actually provides a free, it's not free because you're paying for DAS, but it's a really unique scanner, guys. This scanner here, and I've talked about this in previous videos where I've given information on different sources for scanning for stocks, is invaluable, guys. You can see all the active stocks, all the gainers, the losers, and so on. If you expand this out, there's even more in there. And this list here by itself, this list right here, just NASDAQ gainers, is often, if I click on these, you'll see, right, these are often the biggest movers of the day and stuff that's tradable, especially in the morning, right? Especially in the morning. I actually traded GFAI today, and I'll show you that, right? I'll show you I traded GFI today by showing you that you can customize this chart. Right click on the chart, go to chart area, configure area, and then right here click on show trades, right? Show trades and show orders. And if you do that, it'll populate these little arrows in, right? So you can see I went long right here and then I sold here for a loss. And if you look at my P&Ls here, you can see, right, GFAI, I lost $39 on it, right? You can see that. All right, so that's one configuration. Since I'm on the chart, I want to highlight this real quick. If you right click on the chart and go to well, let's just look at a few different things real quick. So market open line, when I right click on the chart, market open line is this turquoise line. That tells me when 9:30 was. So I like to see that on the chart. What else is in here that I like to see? Number of decimals. So that's for this kind of stuff. You know, decimals in your little area down here. And so on. Nothing else. You know, this is how I change the color of my charts, just in case you're interested in. And then if you want that to be your chart, like whatever your custom is, you right click on the chart and then click Save Settings, right? And then it will pop up your default CST, and the default CST is your default chart, right? It's default CST. So here, right click Data Configuration. You can pop in, you know, if you want to expand it out and have more days and stuff. Right click Study Configuration. This is the box a lot of you guys are, you know, looking for. This is what I have on all my charts, right? So I have all these moving averages here. This is what I have, guys. I have the 9, the 20, because it's between Bollinger Bands. That's where the 20 comes from. So the 9 EMA, the 50 EMA. I have the 100 simple. I don't know why it's simple. It's always been simple. I just left it at simple. You'd probably be better served making it an EMA. I have the simple 200 and the exponential 200. That's these lines in here. You can configure all of this stuff to look however you want it to. So if I show you guys this, so VWAP is the green one, right? Volume weighted average price. The 9 EMA is the thick blue line. Let me maybe go to a different chart so you can see it maybe better, right? That's not the best chart. Here we go. This is a good chart to show you guys all those, everything that I just talked about. Yeah. So I'll go in here and go Study Configuration so you can see this stuff. So here's all my stuff, right? So the 9 EMA, the 20 simple is between Bollinger Bands. These are the Bollinger Bands. That black or gray band there and this, those are your Bollinger Bands, right? VWAP is the green line. 50 moving average is this skinny blue line. This is your 100 moving average here. That red dotted line is my 200 exponential moving average. And then the little skinny, this is the hardest one to see on this chart, but you can see this little skinny blue line here, right there. Maybe if I go to a different chart, maybe go to a 1 minute chart, you can see it a little bit better. You can see that that's the 100 moving average there, 100 simple. So 100 simple, 100 exponential. Now what you notice is all of my charts have the same thing. The 1 minute chart has all the same indicators as the 5, as the 15, and so on. When I first started trading, I kind of wanted all my lines to be in the same spot, right? I didn't. Why does it look like I'm looking up? When I'm not looking up, I'm looking at the camera. I wanted all my lines to be in the same spot. I didn't understand, you know, a 200 moving average, for example, should be in the same spot regardless of what chart you're on. I learned that, you know, the 200 moving average is representative of 200 periods of time averaged out over 200 minutes of time averaged over. If you go to a 5 minute chart, that same 200 moving average is 200 5-minute candles averaged over time. If you go to a 60-minute chart, the 200 moving average is 200 60-minute candles averaged over time. And I think it's important to just leave it the way it is instead of trying to do math and make it, custom for yourself. And the reason is because some people trade the 60-minute chart and they're using the 9, the 20, the 50, and so on. Some people trade the 5-minute chart. Some people only trade the day chart. And so if you leave these moving averages where they're at relative to the time frame they're on, you're seeing what other people are seeing. And that's important because people are making decisions based on what they're seeing with indicators, right? And so anyway, so enough of that. So couple more things here. So the top list. So the top list is usually in here with my scanners. And again, take your anchor, drag it to the top list, and then when you double click on the top list, it will pop it in. And I think that's it, guys. Now there's a couple features I don't use in Dash Trader Pro. I think it's imperative. Well, I forgot to talk about what's down here. So this down here is just volume bars, and then this line is just RSI. So if I go back into study configuration, you can see I have volume bars in here somewhere. Moving, where is it? Oh, I got to actually go down there. So this is a different chart area. So left click, you can add, you can configure, you can add, I don't even know how to do it, but when you right click, or yeah, you can add, there you go, chart area. You can add another chart area before or after, right? So this is one chart area here, right? That's one chart area, and then this down here is another chart area. So when you want to configure that other chart area, you got to right click down there and hit configure, right? And so you'll see if I right click and hit study configuration, it shows the RSI and the volume bar. Guys, I've experimented with parabolic SAR, I've experimented with Ichimoku clouds, MACD, all kinds of other stuff. Use what makes you happy. Use what fits your personality. At the end of the day, that's really what it's about. A foundational type thing from somebody like me is a good start, but maybe you don't see things the way I see things. So maybe take the template I'm going to provide in the description below, use that, upload that, and that will be your basis to begin with. And then from there, what am I trying to say? Change it to fit your personality. I'm starting to get tired, I think. Been doing this since 7 a.m. today. What I'm saying is customize it. That's the word I'm looking for your personality, guys. Customize it for your personality. So again, just a real quick refresher in here, and then you can always take charts and move them to other screens, right? As I mentioned. I don't know that there's anything else in here that's imperative that I would highlight. Things on my chart that I like to keep on there. I've already talked about all the moving averages. This is pre-market high. Sometimes it's off, right? Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. This is pre-market low. Most of the time they're pretty on, but sometimes they're not. This is your previous close line. You can see where it is visually right there, PCL. That's where we closed yesterday. Again, this line here is your day separator, so that's pre-market. That's after hours. As a matter of fact, somewhere in here in configuration, you have to you can go in and you can decide whether or not you want to see pre-market. And so pre-market goes from 4 a.m. every day, which is here, till 9:30. So this is pre-market, and then from 9:30 till 4 is regular day, and then after 4, right? So yesterday, for example, is after hours, and that stuff is tradable. Here's 4 p.m. From there till 8 p.m., which is about right here. This is all after hours. So that's after hours, and then this here is when you're sleeping, and then the market opens at 4 a.m. and goes till 9, or the pre-market opens. This is pre-market, opens at 4 a.m., goes till 9:30, and then this is regular market. This is regular market hours. And so if you want to see pre-market and after hours, I think there's a feature you have to select within the chart to do that. So anyways, if you have questions, guys, I think that's enough, right? I think that's the single monitor layout. I don't think I have anything else for you guys. This is just a layout video. Let me go through here and make sure I didn't forget anything. Oh, I did want to show you guys one more thing. Here, I'll show you guys my hotkeys. I'll just include a link for. I'll do hotkeys in a different video. That's going to be too long of a video if I do that. But there is one more thing I want to highlight. There's this thing. So there's two different ways you can. This is a scanner that's already templated out for you, right? This thing called a top list, right? But you can actually go in, and there's two different ways to scan in DAS under Tools, right? So if I drag this out just a little bit, under Tools, you can actually click scanner, and you can actually create your own scan, guys, in here. So you don't even have to buy your own scan software like I do, right? You can come in here and just add a scan and, you know, whatever, right? You can, you know, add volume or price filters or gaps or whatever. So that's one way. And then another one is in tools. They have this thing called Trade Signal. I don't use it, but it's basically the software I use. I think it is the software I use. I think it is Trade Ideas, or they're getting their data from the same area. If you go in here and play with Trade Signal, I don't know much about it because I don't use it, but believe me, the stuff that you saw in my scan, my list, you can get right here within your DAS trading package, guys, for free. So I just wanted to highlight those last two things real quick before I cut you guys loose. So I think that's it, guys. If you have any questions in particular, maybe I kind of skimmed over something and you want more, you know, more on it, let me know. I'm going to go I'm going to go pull up my single monitor layout and see what it looks like. It looks like this, and then I'm going to save that file and I think it's within a CMEG file, to be honest with you. Because it's on my laptop, so I don't have it on this because I don't need it on this. It's on my laptop, and I may have a single screen layout on this computer for my CMEG account is what I'm trying to say. So I think I'm going to end it there, guys. Two more things. It's nice to know what the high of day is, which is this dotted yellow line, and what the low of day is, which is that dotted red line. So this is high of pre-market, this is low of pre-market, this is low of day, and this is high of day. So I have those on my chart as well. So anyways, guys, I think that's enough, right? I think I covered almost everything on there. I can get into, you know, more detail on other stuff, you know, features and stuff, you know, in the future, I guess. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I need. One more thing, guys. One more thing. I'm sorry. I got to throw this at you. So METX, right? So I'm putting METX. Let's go DWSC. Right, let's say that I want to submit let's say my template, right? My template is 500 shares, and you'll see if I click this template button, it will make it a market order. So you'll see that SMART will turn into a market order. So if I click that, now it's a market order. So if I didn't want to use hotkeys, I could just click one of these buttons. I can go over hotkeys in a different video. You can actually customize this and add buttons, this level 2 montage. You can add buttons in here, guys. So, you know, right now it's just buy and short, but you can add hotkeys that either you can use your keyboard or you can actually add buttons in here. I think I have a video of it either on the current YouTube channel or on my hard drive. So somewhere I have a video of it. But what I wanted to say is if you enable that double click to trade feature that I told you guys about earlier, let's say you want to submit, let's say you're long, let's say you're in here, you have a position and you want to submit an order right there to sell at 74, right? Well, you can just go up on the chart to 74, right? Double click the chart there and you see it pops in the price right there. I clicked 73.99 and then you can just hit sell or short in this case because it means the same thing, and it would put an order right there to sell. It would put an order right there. So let's say I think it's going to snap down. Let's say I think it's going to do this real quick and maybe I want to buy it. I can just come in here to say 72. I can double click the chart and watch right here. You'll see that will change to 72. Right, so right there, 72. And then you can hit the buy button. So double click to trade is a real neat feature, guys, for many reasons. What is this chart doing? Are they trying to get me to buy this right now? So anyways, guys, that is officially it. If you got anything out of the video, let me know, people. Let me know what's on your mind. Don't be afraid to comment below. I'll do Q&A sessions, you know, in the future once I start getting questions piling up and stuff. There are other features within DAS. I didn't show you like options ladders and stuff like that. But you guys can figure that out. This is basically for somebody who's just getting started with DAS and kind of needs a foundational template to go with. So hopefully you guys got something out of it. You know, let me know. Stay humble, stay green. Talk to you later.